So I think we can really get to the ultimate extension of all these meanings. And it comes back to that karma. And what I understand, dharma is without karma is no dharma. So I think that developing of dharma itself is based on karma. So its philosophy is wonderful to have the meaning. Words very important to have the etymology of it. And Sanskrit is wonderful to language to keep. But I think we need to all work together to make sure that it happens. Thank you again so much. It has been such a pleasure to listen to you all and enjoy. And I'm privileged to be able to moderate this session for you. Thank you. But I would suggest that Dr. Girish Jha is going to be taking over, or Professor R.P. Singh is chairing the next session.
Yeah, Professor R.P. Singh is chairing the session.
So, okay, Professor R.P. Singh, please take it away.
So, thank you, Professor Balramji. So, without much ado, I'll just begin the session. We have 3 speakers in this session, and they are Professor Sunita Singh Sengupta. I hope she is there, Sunita ji, and Mr. Sudhakar.
Yes, I'm here.
Great, so nice. And Kavita. These are 3 speakers. We'll begin with Professor Sunita ji. So I know her for for a fairly long time, maybe for almost 2 decades now, and her work in the field of Vedic knowledge, management, and other things are very substantive. Today, she is going to speak on meditation and pranayama, the ancient technique for modern health. Professor Sunita ji, please come out with your video and audio.
Thank you. I would like to share the screen.
Yes, you can go ahead with sharing the screen. You have the privilege.
No, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, try it now.
Yeah, now it's working. Thank you. All right. Good. At the outset, I thank the organizers allowing me to be part of this wonderful August gathering. I have attended their one conference in Center for Indic Studies, Dartmouth, and this is the second time I'm presenting in this Vedanta conference. As mentioned by Professor R.P. Singh and given in the program outline, I'll be talking about meditation and pranayama, the ancient technique for modern health. As a Homi Bhava fellow, I have worked on this, and currently I'm doing an ICSSR project on Vedic Foundation of Indian Management and Ayurveda, Spirituality and Meditation is one of the volumes that is going to come out on which I'm working. I would like to start with Astoma Sadgamaya Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurmam Ritam Gamaya. Lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. The present paper is based on my ongoing research on Ayurveda, yoga, and meditation for modern healthcare management, which is part of my ICSSR-sponsored research project on Vedic Foundations of Indian Management. The volumes are likely to come out by June 2022. In this paper, I'll discuss about meditation and pranayama, as a process for energy creation. In the philosophies of yoga and Vedanta, meditation is a mental process by which the meditator becomes one with the object of meditation. Pranayama is one of the proven ways of calming the restless mind and invoking the right mood for concentration, which is very much required for meditation. In the previous panel discussion, the importance of mind was emphasized. India is interiorized culture, antarmukhi, where everything goes inside, and meditation and pranayama are the techniques to get back to oneself. Psychological health is mostly studied with respect to extra-psychic behavior. In this paper, I took the stand that a sound psychological health cannot be based on extra-psychic forces, but needs to be anchored in intra-psychic strength. So therefore, the focus of this present paper, the full paper is with the organizers. The present paper discusses self-mastery through meditation and pranayama to lead a healthy life. It talks about how we can get acquainted, familiarize, and practice meditation and pranayama in order to create energy. And the paper discusses it from the perspective of Vedanta and Tantra. As a Homi Bhava fellow, I worked on Indian Tantra system, particularly Kundalini Yoga, and as a process of energy creation. And here I'm trying to have a dual perspective from Vedanta and Tantra as well. Experience or anubhav has a much wider meaning in Vedantic perspective. Sadhana is the name of that which ends in siddhi. So the whole paper takes a sadhana perspective geared towards attaining better health. Sadhana is perhaps something that is very much like the working of what Kant calls the practical reason, which makes realization possible of what is merely apprehended by the theoretical reasons as a regulative ideal or an idea of reason merely. So the realization of this subtle experience is anubhav gamaya, realized in experience. We are part of a civilization, we are part of a country which is based on the anubhuti of the sages. And therefore, I always say, India is different. Indians are different. Our scriptures carry different messages. They are full of tools and techniques of how to realize self, how to cultivate a better health, and how to develop a strong mind. It is not manan or reason that reveals its existence, but it is nidhyasa or dhyan, meditation, that gradually enlivens the idea and introduces force and freshness into the same and elevates it to the rank that bridges the gap between the ideal and the real, between the subject and the object. If we read Shiv Puran, and it talks about Agarbh Pranayama and Sagarbh Pranayama. So Pranayama is done with manan or nidhyasan of a mantra and done in the mind, when our tongue doesn't touch our teeth, that level of bhav pranayam, if we get into, then it gives the best benefits. It is through sadhana that we develop from dull, inert, passive human being to full-grown human being, in whom consciousness achieves its highest manifestation. And that is the beauty of meditation. It takes us to the higher level, and then it connects us with the cosmic energy. So in the whole process, the body is the tantra. And this tantra, body is an instrument for the expression of energy. And as such, the more perfect the instrument and the fitter the organism, the better will it express the energy which hidden or latent. And therefore, purity is emphasized too much on Vedic literature, be it Vedanta, be it Tantra. Purity, ekagrachit, and calmness of mind. It's too much emphasis. It says that ekagra man hi shant man hoga. A mind which is not ekagra cannot be a peaceful mind. So in this paper, the scholar will discuss meditation and pranayama, the two techniques from Vedantic and Tantric perspective, to attain a sound mind and a healthy body. Self-mastery for developing physical and mental health, a Vedantic perspective. Meditation is universally practiced in some form or the other for serenity, peace, and blessedness. World has acknowledged the power of meditation today. The time-honored teachings of meditation, as embodied in the systems of yoga and Vedanta, serve as a source of inspiration to seekers all over the world. Yoga and Vedanta are generally regarded as two mainstream teachings. However, both strive for the same goal with different approaches to the goal. So both merges into the same. Yoga is not just the asana. It is mind, body, soul communion. And the same the meditation talks about. So in this paper, the scholar will just be concentrating on meditation and pranayama and its health benefits. Meditation. The benefits of meditation are threefold: spiritual, mental, and physical. Meditation brings spiritual illumination. When a seeker says, asango aham, asango aham, asango aham, punah, punah, and wants to cultivate a mind which does not cling to anything, so that the person gives his best. And through the chanting of this one-line mantra, the person is able to cultivate that vairagya. If we go through Ashtavakra Gita and we see the conversation of Raja Janak and Rishi Ashtavakra, it is entirely based on how do we cultivate this passionate mind, how do we cultivate vairagya bhav, because it's important to do nishkam karma. Shankaracharya says the true nature of things is to be known personally through the eye of clear illumination and not through a sage. What the moon exactly is to be known with one's own eyes. Can others make one know it? So direct experience, anubhuti, it emphasizes on anubhuti, one's own experience. Regarding the benefits of meditation, Swami Vivekananda says, such is power of yoga that even the least of it will bring a great amount of benefit. It will not hurt anyone, but will benefit everyone. First of all, it will calm down nervous excitement, bring peace, enable us to see things more clearly. The temperament will be better and the health will be better. Sound health will be one of the first signs, and a beautiful voice. Defects in the voice will be changed. This will be among the first of the many effects that will come. Those who want only a little practice for an everyday business sort of life, let them not eat too much. Otherwise, they may eat whatever they please. And the popular saying, Jaisa ahar, vaisa vichar. Swami Vivekananda's powerful message on meditation. The sacred texts on progress in meditation, I'll quote few. The details are there in my paper. Katha Upanishad. When the 5 instruments of knowledge stand still together with the mind, and when the intellect does not move, that is the supreme state. The lines need to be noted that when the knowledge stands still together with the mind, and when the intellect does not move, that is the supreme state. This is the firm control of the senses, is what is called yoga. One must then be vigilant, for yoga can be both beneficial and injurious. So, drashta bhav, when we practice that, senses are controlled, mind is still, then our drashta bhav increases. Bhagavad Gita, verse 2.6, it says, the man whose mind is not under his control has no self-knowledge and no contemplation either. Without contemplation, he can have no peace. And without peace, how can he have happiness? Sri Ramakrishna says, in deep meditation, the sense organs stop functioning. The mind does not look outward. It is like closing the gate of the outer court in a house. There are 5 objects of the senses: form, taste, smell, touch, and sound. They are all left outside. Swami Vivekananda says, concentration of the powers of the mind is our only instrument. Further, Vivek Chudamani, verse 176, in the forest tract of sense pleasure, there prowls a huge tiger called the mind. And mind, we must know how to control the mind. Otherwise, mind will start controlling us. So meditation enables one to control the mind. Meditation in the systems of yoga. The yoga system asserts that impure thoughts is to be countered by pure thought. Impure imagination by pure imagination. Uncontrolled speech by thoughtful speech. And bad bodily posture by good posture. Patanjali defines yoga as subjugation of the thought, waves of the mind. The mind is like a lake that remains constantly agitated by distracting thought waves, the vritti. So, chitta vritti nirodha, as we all know, defines yoga. Meditation in Vedanta, meditation according to Vedanta, is a form of intense mental worship of asana. And therefore, I said in the beginning, I'll be focusing on the sadhana perspective and how do we attain good health through meditation and pranayama by practicing sadhana. The seeker of self-knowledge must be established in the practice of the fourfold discipline by which he or she becomes fit for the practice of meditation. Discrimination, dispassion, mastery over 6 virtues, which Adi Shankaracharya talked about, intense longing for liberation from all bondage. So roadblocks to self-knowledge, defects of the body, such as disease, defects of the sense organ, that is their outgoing restless tendency, defects of the mind, doubt, fluctuation, and indecision, defects of the intellect, lack of concentration. So the 3 steps in meditation are hearing, reflecting, and meditation. Shravan, Manan, Nidhyasan. This is the Brahma Sutra of meditation to attain good health. So Vedantic practices for meditation. The Vedantic practices for meditation are divided into 2 groups, foundational and structural. The 4 disciplines, which I just now showed in the previous slide, are foundation, and the 3 steps of meditation are structural. So success in structural practice is proportional to success in foundational practice. Thus, being firmly established in the fourfold discipline, the seeker acquires the fitness to meditate. Now I'll be talking a little bit about meditation in Tantric practice, sadhana. So the most essential component of Tantric praxis, as discussed by Pandit, consists of mantra, manam trayate, protect your mind. Shri Yantra, we all know the geometric properties of Shri Yantra, mudra, bhuta shuddhi, and nyasa of the divine body. So the details are there in my paper. So developing authentic human health. How do we unleash intrapsychic energies? And I discussed it from the perspective of meditation, both Vedantic and Tantric praxis, and the technique becomes pranayama. So the process of internalization of consciousness is achieved through yogic methods that turn consciousness inwards, delinking it from speech and thought, and by not allowing the senses to relate themselves to their corresponding objects. So the rupture between consciousness, speech, and thought is realized by developing concentration through the vocal and mental repetition of the mantra. And that is what in spiritual practice, japa is emphasized. The channels of internal energy, the autonomic nervous system, when properly activated, helps in generating life forces and controlling desires. So now I'll quickly talk about pranayama in Vedantic perspective. Pranayama is one of the proven ways of calming the restless mind and invoking the right mood for concentration, which is the requirement of meditation. Pranayama is associated with the control and regulation of the breathing process. All the scriptures, Hindu scriptures, talk about the importance of pranayama and says that prana vayu how important it is to regulate the prana vayu, which help us in controlling many other diseases. A sacred text, the Swarodaya Yoga, describes the interconnection between the rate of breathing and the lifespan. When our mind is calm, our breath also is calm. When our mind is restless or tense, our breathing becomes irregular and arrhythmic. Pranayama seeks to make the mind tranquil by the control and regulation of breathing. The Sanskrit Pranayama is a compound word consisting of prana, which means vital force, and ayama, which indicates restraint. Prana is therefore not just breath, it is cosmic energy. Breath is the gross manifestation of prana, which is subtle. Prana is described in the sacred texts of Yoga and Vedanta as having 5 modifications, according to its 5 different functions: Prana, Pana, Samana, Uddiyana, and Vyama. The function of prana is respiration, of apana is excretion, of samana is digestion, of udana is swallowing of food, helping in sleep, and of vyana is circulation of blood. So the seat of prana is the heart, of apana is the organs of evacuation, of samana is the area of navel, of udana is the throat, while vyana is all pervading and moves throughout the body, guarding it against diseases and maintaining equilibrium. So this equilibrium is also emphasized in Bhagavad Gita, Sthit Prajna. And that is very important. Pranayama helps us in maintaining this equilibrium. Pranayama practice with a restless mind cannot be regarded as a part of yoga. Steadiness of the body and one-pointedness of the body is required. This is what I've been emphasizing throughout, that ekagra chitta is very important. While concluding, meditation and pranayama works on prana leading to healthy body. The pranayama makes one aware of oneself. Aspirants who are well grounded in them, enriched by the innumerable experiences that have resulted from their practice, have had their minds stretched sufficiently to handle non-ordinary experiences. The volumes of Sri Aurobindo on consciousness and cultivating higher levels of consciousness are a very important source to understand and research it. But does it have any relationship with consciousness? Consciousness is a manifestation of prana, and prana is energy. How pranic energy produces consciousness is not known. There are no hints in the ancient texts because the most profound knowledge was only handed down in a very direct personal manner from a guru, spiritual teacher, to a disciple. Even Sri Ramakrishna told Swami Vivekananda after giving him an out-of-body experience that he had been shown, but now would have to do it by himself. So this was very briefly what I had to present, meditation and pranayama and ancient techniques and how it helps us.
Thank you, Professor Sunita. Very, very nicely. Very nicely done. We'll have the question answer session once the presentations are over. So please stay back. Then maybe some questions.
I'm here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So now the next speaker is Mr. Sudhakar Jaili. The topic is traditional Vedantic view of health and education in modern times. So Mr. Sudhakar, you are around?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Please come out with your video and audio. Of course, audio is there, but video is also so.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Namaskar. I am Dr. Sudhakar Jali from Utkal University, PG Department of Philosophy, Utkal University. August gathering, esteemed chairperson of this occasion, 10th session, Professor R.P. Singh sir, learned speakers. In this special occasion, I have great pleasure to express my deep sense of gratitude towards the organizers of this seminar for giving me this opportunity.
Is it possible for you to come out with the video?
Yes, sir.
Your video is not there.
Video is not there. Video is not there. Video.
If it is
Video is
difficult,
not
then
there.
forget it. Audio is good enough. We can do it.
Yes, video is on, sir.
Okay.
Video is working, sir. Video is working, sir.
Okay, if it is working from your side, it will come to us. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I can see you.
R.P. Singh ji, you have to put him on the spotlight.
Okay.
You are the host. So if you go to his video picture, there are these 3 dots.
Yeah.
If you click on that, one of the options would be add to spotlight.
I'll do that.
Okay, sir. Now start my
Go ahead,
presentation.
please.
Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, sir. The title of the seminar, the traditional Vedantic view for the health and education in modern times. And the title of my paper is also same in the sense, the title of paper is the traditional Vedantic view for the health and education in modern times. And it is my humble submission that Indian philosophical tradition is not merely limited to theistic sense of a divinity. The Vedantic approach is found and mostly revealed in terms of a classical Indian dharmic darshanik heritage. According to it, both bodily and mental hygienic condition and education thereof are viewed as somewhat parasitical aparavidya, in contrast to what is regarded as higher knowledge, know thyself, that is termed as paravidya. Paravidya is the knowledge of absolute, whereas aparavidya is the knowledge of the world. Paravidya possesses a unique quality of ultimacy. It is different from senses and reason. It is the pure philosophic impenetrable doctrine which proclaims that Brahman as without attributes, gunas, without any distinction, vishesha and limitness. That is why Paravidya is considered as Samyak Darshan. It does not necessitate any support or proof. The knowledge of absolute is usually considered as self-knowledge. It refers to person's own knowledge of thoughts, sensations, beliefs, and mental states. But knowledge of world is objective, deterministic, and positivistic. If this view is accepted, such standpoint is not in tune with the rise of science and technology in modern times. For science is towards the pursuit of a development of science and technology in the empirical phenomena are bereft of either any positive or negative surmise, guess, conjecture about something that is said as non-empirical or transcendental. So far as a traditional Indian philosophical version is concerned, it is not only gives the primacy of theistic devotion or bhakti, it is also has given primary importance for Jukti, Tarka, reasoned argument, Vicharana, for arriving at conclusion, Siddhanta. It is also stated in ancient Sanskrit proverb, Bade, Bade, jayate tattvabodha. It is only through the articulation of a diverse opinion that truth will finally come out. This is found as early, it is also found as this type of description is also found as early as the 4th century BC in Chanakya's well-known volume Arthashastra, wherein it is clearly stated that darsana, philosophy, is not concerned with religion, but rather with the reasoned and causal investigation and for arriving at any conclusion or siddhanta. Conclusion or siddhanta. This emphasizes on reason is found to be closed with scientific quest or investigation and not with the blind surmise, conjecture about the transcendental or non-empirical form of a divine foundation. Sir, for your kind information, so far as the traditional Indian philosophical version is concerned, it is not only gives primacy of a theistic devotion or a bhakti, it also has given primary importance for jukti, tarka, reasoning argument for arriving at a conclusion. So, according to Chanakya, or the well-known volume of Arthashastra, wherein it is clearly stated that darshana or philosophy is not considered religion, but rather with the reason and a causal investigation and yes. For arriving at any conclusion or siddhanta, this emphasis on reason is found to be closed with the scientific quest or investigation and not with the blind surmise or conjecture about the transcendental or non-empirical form of a divine foundation. So, another important information for you in modern times, the well-known lexicographer M. Monier Williams, modern professor of Sanskrit, sometimes fellow of a Balliol College, Oxford, has brought out the English Sanskrit dictionary and Sanskrit dictionary as early as 1851 has referred to Arthashastra, that which stands for Hetu Shastra, Hetu Vidya, Tarka Shastra, Vada Vidya. So, darshan is coined by Sir Monier Williams as Tattva Jnana, Jnana Shastra, Tattva Vidya, Jnana Vijnana, Tatra Shastra, Niti Vidya, Niti Shastra. From logical angle, philosophy of darshan is called as Tarka Vidya, Tarka, Nyaya, Nyaya Vidya, Vichara Vidya, Anukhiki, so which has clearly mentioned by Monier Williams in his important dictionary. So, religious persons are usually secular minded and they are the strong supporters of faith in lieu of a reason. They have stated that secularism is diluted by faith. It may be mentioned here that they are saying faith in secular as accommodating belief, faith is beyond reason and antithetical rational debate, vivado, tarka, vidya, or any sort of a tarkalogy. In that sense, the English term secular in any sense seems to be clearly beyond the range of a belief or faith. That is why that is also evident in the established popular sense with the Hindu fold, as we have already discussed, Vade Vade Jayate Tattvabodha. Shankar, Acharya Shankar in his philosophical doctrine rightly pointed out that one argument, if it is found faulty, then that must be rectified by another argument. It is opined that etadapihi tarkanang apratishthitattvam tarkenava pratisthapyat. Therefore, both in the Western sense of a secular and a traditional established Indian saying are quite repugnant for use of a religious faith region. If this view is accepted, then expression of a belief can never assimilate itself with region or cognition, but this view is countered with religious belief or knowledge that is of a common acceptance of a religious belief structure. Nevertheless, such a view is widely accepted in Indian theistic bound circle. An attempt has been made secularism accommodative of religious faith or belief. The argument from religious experience is altogether fallacious, which has clearly mentioned by AJR in his important book, Language, Truth and Logic. Rational quest, whether in science and philosophy, is accommodative of progress, not a regress. Rectification is boosting for modification. The change is meant for progress and development, not for the total annulment of a region altogether. The distinction must be acknowledged, not in terms of total abandonment of identity, but rather boosting for its modification for progress and development, not at the cost of region or counter region, but rather with the change of region on the demand of a situation and a context. Of course, philosophy and science have some sort of a similarity, but it is evident that similarity does not ignore or abnegate. It means similarity does not assimilate identity between two. Region plays a pivotal role both in the domain of philosophy and science. It is opined that philosophical region is not a carbon copy of science. It has already been referred to previously. Secularism in Indian context has to accommodate religious use in a broader perspective. It is rather religious but not irreligious. So the question of origin in terms of a yes or a no does not simply relevant here. For that which is not discovered, invented or arrived at any means of a sense of a verification or region based on region based. It can accommodate a religious knowledge in a broader sense, not only in philosophy, but even in different branches of science. There is also further modification, rectification of knowledge, both in the above said disciplines, as there is always scope for something new and novel in the sphere of knowledge arrived at. In this context, the Mimamsa philosophers' view can be cited. Mimamsa philosopher much before Advaitic philosophy, Mimamsa uphold the validity of knowledge. A valid knowledge, therefore, must fulfill these four conditions. Firstly, valid knowledge, it must not arise from defective causes. Karana dosha rahita. Secondly, it must be free from contradiction. Badha ki jnana rahita. Thirdly, it must apprehend an object which has not already been apprehended. Novelty is an essential feature of knowledge, agruhita grahi. Thus, memory is excluded from validity of knowledge by Kumaril also. Fourthly, it must truly represent the object, jathartham sarvigya. To elaborate a region, employed in darshan and darshan being used in the traditional setup, it is found that there is also presence of a region in darshan as something distinct from modern use of darshan, as inclusive of a common sense and accommodative of a modern use of darshan, as somewhat close to darshan, as a dharma nirapeksha, or prone to shruti in the sense of accommodative of region, as somewhat different from scientific region, as shruti paraka, or close to Indian tradition. That is how it is termed as shruti, somewhat not close to region, used in science, but close to dharma nirapeksha, that is secular, is used to be held as also held to be shruti based or scripture based in Indian tradition. Shankar in his Gita Bhashya has already mentioned in this connection Srushti Chintakaha Nirathakaha, and also scriptural reference of accommodating dharma, Vyavahara Siddha, factual objectivity, not hesitating to go beyond Brahman as pure Sat, Anadi, Ananta, Nirguna, Paramasatya alone, scriptural tradition of moving beyond ineffability, Ishvara as being involved with Maya as somewhat close to delusion. This reveals that within the Vedantic tradition, that Shankara emphasizes on Ishvara as a Saguna or Gunaparaka. are not approved by other Vedantins for the region, the concept of Ishwar cannot eliminate creation based on God or Ishwar having scope for secular based of theism. Thus, to them, he is not delusive but being permanent alone, Ishwara that cannot be bereft of absolute real or permanence. In this sense, concept of God to them is Saguna or Sakar. That is why the concept of Ishwara is not diluted Guna Rahita but Guna Paraka within the metaphysical tradition. Thus, there is a clear difference between Gunava, Nirgunavada of Shankar and a Gunavadi God as involved with Maya. Despite all these observations by the Vedantic, theistic Vedantin, so far as theistic Vedants are concerned, there is equally another tradition in Indian thought much before the time of Gita, around Gita for 6-7 AD within the Indian framework. So, and Chanakya also, we have already clearly stated that Darsana is different from Darsana in the sense of region that accommodated mainly socio-human political thought of Dandaniti and Arthaniti, criminology and penology, as stated before, has clearly mentioned that the Darsana or philosophy are based on region hetu. The famous exponent of a Vedanta Darsana by Shankar has confirmed to this reading interpretation in his own Gita Bhashya and takes Brahman as a Paramasatta alone, ignoring theistic rendering of Brahman as involved with Maya. Sachidananda Brahman as Nirguna and Nirakara etc. has ignored the concept of Ishwara as well as theistic concept of Suti or creation as useless or Nirathaka. Following Shankar's commentary, region is acknowledged in his Gita Bhashya commentary not as a complete rejection of old classical tradition, but a new connotation is added, not a truth as something absolute true or false, right or wrong, but stressing upon common sense notion of freedom of the individual that is called Atma Samikhya. And thereby, it does not suggest freedom of the individual, not as a complete denial of the old tradition, but rather, on the contrary, it acknowledges the old in terms of rejecting absolute sense of meaning. Acharya Shankara has accepted the notion of human freedom in the socio-human framework. Continuation of the old in a new framework is the prominent aspect of Advaita Vedantic perspective. With this, so I should not repeat the very fundamental points which has clearly mentioned by other things. Of course, different systems are there in the Indian philosophy, are there, and Vedantins are there. But in short, it can be said that what the notion of human freedom in the socio-human framework is accepted. Continuation of the world in a new framework is the important aspect of Advaita Vedantic philosophy or perspective. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhakar. You are well in time and very good presentation. So about the education and the logical pramana vyavastha and everything. So now we have Dr. Kavita Das. She is going to present a paper on spirituality in environmental health. So now over to you, Kavita.
R.P. Singh ji, could you make me the host? Then I can put the speaker on spotlight.
So how to make it? I don't know.
If you go to participants.
So, okay.
Do you see the list of participants?
Yes.
So against my name, you will get an option.
Okay.
If one of the options you see is make host.
Make host, yes.
Yeah. You just click on it, then I can control the spotlight.
I made an I okay.
Okay, very good. So I can now put the speaker. Very good. Okay, yes, Dr. Das, you can begin.
have to share my screen. Is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible, but your voice is very slow. If you can put some microphone or raise the voice.
Now, sir?
Yes, fine. Absolutely fine.
Thank you, sir. So, esteemed chairperson, Professor R.P. Singh, sir, esteemed members present in this virtual meeting. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizing committee for giving me this opportunity in this mega event. So the title of my paper is Spirituality in Environmental Health. So here I put two terms, spirituality and environmental health, which is much important in this present crisis. So as we know that the planet Earth, home to all creatures, including mankind, that endures, providing people nourishment for their survival. Yes. So there is an intricate relationship exists between human beings and their environment. People utilize their resources for their need only, but not to satisfy their greed. Spirituality facilitates us to have a compassionate outlook of nature. This prevents the whole mankind from exploitation of available resources. As we know that people around the globe have defined and explored spirituality using individualized approaches. It varies in contextual basis, but as a whole, it is collective in spirit. Spirituality, as we know that it is a term in the human mind, which is equivalent to search for meaning with the purpose of direction of life. This term, spirituality, in Sanskrit is adhyatma, that means the combination of two words, adi and atma, atman, and it means identifying and understanding the nature of the soul and journey to experience it as own true nature. So it is expansive science about understanding and acts accordingly by following the principle of how to be blissful. To be blissful naturally is the desire of every human being. And as we know that we are all search for happiness in life and runs after various objective and subjective spheres with a notion to obtain it from such materialistic sources. However, in the modern day lifestyle meant for obtaining human being comfort, luxury at the cost of environmental health. So environmental health is very much important to live a very peaceful and good life. But it provides a green and holistic mindset to spend and enjoy life without any additional burden. Keeping the environmental clean, greenery, pollution-free could have paramount importance for a better life. But there is an intricate interrelationship exists between the human beings and the environment, but the current practices such as excessive fossil fuel consumption, toxic gas emission, waste accumulation, and activities from so-called religious activities. Here I took only this religious activities, including incitements of sticks, candle lighting, then idle emotion. It has adverse effects on environmental health and distract the real meaning of spirituality, which is focused in this article. Human must come up with an extra philosophical, eco-spiritual mindset to adopt practices that keep both nature and other creatures safe and healthy in this earth ecosystem. So, is there any way to learn and practice spiritual religious activities without harming on environmental hand, and how to perform it with greater understanding? This is my question, which I focus in this paper. So now, what is spirituality? As we know, it can be known as a method of human transformation from one psychological state to another. Spirituality is not a concept of religion only, but through a certain effort, one can achieving this state of mind and advance the inner self into the higher level. So it varies contextual basis, but as a whole, it is a collective spirit. Spirituality, in terms of the human mind, it finds the purpose of the direction of life. And when we understanding the nature of the soul and journey to experience it as one's true nature. But human beings here are closing the doors of spirituality that lies deep inside them and moving towards outer surface where their behavior are dominated by the materialism. What is environmental health? As we know that environmental health is concerned with all aspects of natural and built environment affecting to the human health. Environmental health reflects the poor environmental quality causing poor health in human beings. It endures life and supports health, joy, and aspiration. Every day, this environment is shaping the life, but simultaneously, the ecosystem is also subject to major changes, which are now resulting into the environmental crisis. The fundamental requirement is inner consciousness of individuals towards deep commitment towards the earth. The unsustainability of the ecosystem arises because man treat it as unlimited and use them to satisfy their desire, fulfill the greed. And how it is possible in this time? Due to the ignorance. Ignorance cripples the nature. People tend to ignore the biggest truth that they live on a finite earth where resources are scarce and rationality is required for its optimal utilization. Now come to the relationship between religion, spirituality, and its relations to nature. All human beings have many characteristics for sustenance, but believe in religion and do religious activity is very important and very regular for them too. Religions are both cultural traditions and personal choices. A substantial part of cultural inheritance of any society is related to their religion and tradition, which are evidenced in art, feast, food, and many other social manifestations. There are many religious faith and different religious practices across the world, such as Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, Jews, Muslim, Christian, Sikhs, and these faiths around the world share a common ethic basis based on harmony with nature. Although a wide gap is often perceived between the religious text and the current practices of the adherents of those religions, when people are talking about the oneness concept, religion plays a vital role in the philosophy of Hindu for understanding and practicing harmony between nature and humanity. And the fundamental philosophy of Hindu tradition, Vedanta, recognized that fundamentally all life is one, that in essence everything is reality, and that this oneness finds its natural expression in a reverence for all things. The sustained life comes from the sacred rivers and mountains, forests, and the whole environment. The soul is present in all the plants and animals, and people must serve and finance for killing plants and animals for food. This is what we are finding in the Hindu philosophy. It's like in other religion like Christianity. Christianity also explained that all creation is loving act of God, and that human beings may not destroy this beautiful creation of God. In Islam, the role of people on earth is that of Khalifa or trustee of God, and to keeping earth safe assigned to human beings. As well, in the Buddhism and Jainism, the oldest living religion teaches love, understanding, compassion, non-violence towards all the creature of nature. So to love, to compassion of in favor of nature, it is all same in every religion. People find threefold relation, physical, social, and spiritual in religion. So it is unique institution in the society. Religion and spirituality play an important role. Utilizing this ability can help one to reach peace. Inherent within spirituality is the experience of transcending the self. Spirituality brings an awareness of self in relationship to others. Engaging in the spiritual provides connectedness with divine, human, and nature to experience himself and herself in relationship to God and its creation. See here, I put the fish in a ocean and the fish in a bowl. So one is religion, another one is spirituality. So spirituality lends more towards self-referral or the internalization of your awareness of your soul. Spirituality is inward journey that involves a shift in awareness rather than some form of external activity. Spirituality is much more about inner understanding than outer worship. So spirituality can provide a bridge which is desperately needed between human system and ecological system in order to create a more sustainable and just world. But the people mindset, modernization, and religious activities that affects the environmental health. As we know that in ancient days, people were deeply connected to nature. They worshiped the nature, like people worship the trees, forest, animals, etc. So there are a bond between the humankind and nature, but that bond have been broken and the sagacity of the sacred lost and replaced by the environmental destruction, consumerism, and greed. People forget the real meaning of true religion, the oneness with nature. Nature sustains life and supports health, joy, and aspirations. But this is due to the ignorance. Ignorance cripples the nature. Like in the 21st century, people do the religious activities for their enjoyment, for their comfort, create an artificial infrastructure to cut the forests, mass in numbers, and make pollution to destroy the nature. As we know that in the Vedas, it also mentioned that universe consists of 5 basic elements, namely earth, water, air, fire, and space. These 5 elements provides basis for life, everything, and man is designed to preserve them. But in this present situation, the activities in different way, it performed and destroyed this whole nature. These environmental problems happen due to population growth, rapid industrialization, and agriculture activities, religious activities, etc. In the country like India, where every religion has their own space and free to perform their religious activity in different manner, these activities do constitute a part of those problems such as air pollution, water pollution, and noise pollution. These pollutions are responsible for destruction of health of the environment, which can cause a serious impact on living beings. As we know that air is an immutable for all living creatures, including human beings. All are need it to survive, but due to the ignorance, people don't always take care to keep it clean, and that can have a significant impact on health. The long-term exposure to both indoor and outdoor poor air quality and pollution could be putting the lungs at risk. It is related to the emission of harmful gases in the Earth's atmosphere, which is resulting in global warming. Clean air is a basic requirement of life, and hazardous substances produced from human activities, both from indoors and outdoors, such as burning incense, can lead to a broad range of health problems. The burning of incense sticks holds an important place in every religion, such as Hinduism, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, as it is sacred object. These religious peoples from different countries use incense and scented candles of different sizes and flavors at various occasions, like to offer their worship in temples, church, and mosque, and in the cremation. So they are using incense sticks and candles for providing pleasant smell. Many people burn incense and candles daily in the indoor and public environments. As incense were made from a wide variety of substances, including resins, aromatic substances, essential oils, and synthetic chemicals, incense burning would emit a variety of toxic chemicals. With the environmental and health awareness rising, it has been given more attention to the pollutants due to the incense burning. I put here two figure, that one is from Beijing and another is from India. To reduce the cost of large number of incense with different quality were manufactured, some poor quality incense flowed into temples. Some monks and old person who visited these temples suffered from pneumonias and other respiratory diseases. So this huge amount of incense was burned in temple, and due to the various reasons, atmospheric temperature increases near to the Earth's surface. An increase in the carbon dioxide level will further intensify the situation. The Earth's heat to be trapped in the atmosphere and rise in the atmosphere temperature is caused by the greenhouse effect. So the changing climate of the Earth and rising temperature happen only due to the global warming. It gives an adverse effect on various species to the environment, which is dependent on the basic law of nature. Hence, changing environment makes survival a must difficult task. A hot Earth also changes in the rainfall patterns, which affects human beings, plants, and other animals as well. Another important issue is ozone layer exhaustion. Earth has many layers which protects it from harmful UV rays from sun, and ozone layer is one of them. The emission of chlorofluorocarbon, CFC, gases caused to exhaustion of ozone layer due to the emission of gas and smoke from the incense burning, candle burning. The release of these gases is not checked. This layer will dissolve very soon. It can cause the life-threatening disease to whole mankind. Now coming to the water pollution. Water pollution is another issue related to environmental health, especially when it comes to the pollution of bodies of water that hold religious and ritualistic significance to the communities. Like in worshipping activities performs in different places, in different festivals. I put here two festivals. One is Durga Puja, another one is Ganesh Chaturthi. Like that, many festivals. After worship, these idols are immersed into water. The immersion contributes to the pollution problems for rivers, such as Ganges and the Yamuna, especially with the use of religious offerings that are usually non-biodegradable and often contain heavy metals or plastic. Idols are constructed by plaster of Paris, clay, cloth, small iron rods, bamboo, and decorated with different paints such as varnish, watercolors, which can lead to significant alteration in the water quality after immersion. Paints which are used to color these idols contains various heavy metals such as mercury, cadmium, arsenic, zinc, chromium, and lead, particularly lead blue, orange color that are more harmful. There have been several studies on how worshipping activities like the idol immersion. So the clean water is transformed into this this dirty and toxic water. So I put here two figure which shows that the clean water transform into the polluted water. So need to realize the thing, because we are in a illusion that man is the superior and dominate the others. But the truth is that man is in the middle, and it is the truth that man thinks himself as a part and parcel of the environment, and it creates imbalance in the environment, and ecological aspect that creates balance in the environment. So how to bridge this building bridge between the man and mother nature? So spiritual intervention to protect the environment. So the totality of this all biotic and abiotic components include the environment. The former is consisting live plants, animals, birds, forests, insects, reptiles, microorganisms, and non-living things like air, cloud, temperature, water, mountains, etc. So there are three things we have to discuss here. That is, one is social ecology, ecological balance, and spiritual ecology. Here I put two questions. It reflects two most important questions are: to what extent do human beings reflect upon how their spiritual life relates to environment, and what might be the implications of pursuing this reflection? So religions offer basic informative stories of who the people are, what the nature is, where they have come from, and where they are going. This comprises a worldview of society. But when we are into the spiritual line, the three indicators of sustainable development, that are social ecology, ecological balance, and of course, the spiritual ecology. The only things happen that the realization of sustainable development will begin to be clear when the relationship between nature and human beings will be guided by spiritual perspective of life. So spirituality in environmental health, philosophical adoption. So here it is nature and self. In self, we have these three layers. The last layer is materialistic behavior. And then the second one, we need their needs, desire, emotions, and the interrelationship between them. And then the spirituality. And in nature, it also three layers: the mundane, the social ecology, and environment. So spirituality in environmental health is very much need for the current crisis. Maintain the ecological balance through interdependence, spiritual self, and nature. One can realize that mankind is a part of the nature. They will not treat nature as merely an instrumental worth. So balance and think for this ecosystem is spirituality. Sharp awareness or consciousness, the capacity for deep reflection and compassion. Spirituality highlight a number of practices like mindfulness, meditation, relearning from indigenous knowledge and wisdom, and restoration. So the root cause of environmental pollution is pollution within the ecology of human heart. So the pollution is within us, not the outer world. So even if we manage to clean the air, rivers, and ocean, people will pollute them again unless they reform their internal ecology. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavita. Very good presentation. And I was just looking into the chat box. There was no question, but I have certain observations to make to the three presentations which have just taken place. And my observations, and then I will give maybe 2 minutes time to each one of you to respond to me. And these are very, just a quick reflection kind of a thing. And because Professor Sunita Singh Sen Gupta, her presentation is in fact so comprehensive, very illuminative, substantive in every respect. And in fact, the way she presented, it was almost a superlative kind of, presentation. And I congratulate you, ma'am, for everything you have done.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
One brief observation I have to make is that you did mention about Sri Aurobindo, and Sri Aurobindo has placed sadhana in the middle of Vidya and Kala. Because for him, life divine or human cycle, the knowledge aspect of it, and then you have the integral yoga, the synthesis of yoga, which is the sadhana aspect of it. And then both these together, they become so creative that a text like Savitri emerges. So it becomes immensely creative. And this is a model almost many philosophers in the West also, they have accepted. If we look at Aristotle, for instance, he has theoretical science, practical science, and productive science. So in the theoretical, we have the epistemology and metaphysics. In the practical, we have the Nicomachean ethics. And then in the productive side is the poetic, which Aristotle has given. And even Immanuel Kant in the 18th century, he also took up pure reason, practical reason, and the judgment. Somehow the idea is that our thinking is complete not only with the willing alone, but knowing and feelings are also required to complement one another so that it becomes a kind of perfect kind of a thing. So this is my observation to your paper, that given the chance, that knowledge aspect and also the creative element which comes out, creativity, like Savitri and other epics which have come up. You know, what is Savitri? It's a tiny episode in the Mahabharata, but Sri Aurobindo made it an epic out of it. And the sadhana is very important. It's a way of life. And in the cultural domain, he has used it very substantially. And ma'am, your paper is really very enlightening, very complimentary. I've learned a lot from it.
Thank you.
This is one aspect. And the second presenter, Sudhakar, I didn't know much about him, but the way he gave, Sudhakar, you are there? Dr. Sudhakar Jaili?
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So it's very good paper, very nice presentation. And you have taken up the knowledge domain in a very substantive manner. And that goes to the education aspect of it. And health is also a very important component of it, and linked with education, because the Trividh Tapa, Daihik, Daivik, Bhautik, that requires some kind of a knowledge aspect of it. Now, as we know that education is an intentional act, and therefore, right at the beginning itself, it is normative. And it is needed to create some kind of social identity, socializing, and giving meanings to everything. And human beings, though they are born, biologically, but their bringing up is something which is very socially kind of a thing. We are social beings. Animals are born biologically and they live and die biologically. But for us, education, comes out just a kind of, man-making process. So that man-making process requires some kind of a purpose which is involved in it. Perhaps in your case, you have taken up the health as the purpose of it. And that's really very, ambitious issue. But somehow in your presentation, the health aspect did not emerge so substantially. You can look into it, that how the Trividha Tapa can be addressed with the knowledge domain, and particularly in the Atharva Veda, it has been done very substantially. And this is also a kind of process which goes on developing and in very many ways. So this is one brief observation I have. And so far as Dr. Kavita's presentation is concerned, and taking up the spiritual dimension of it, that really is the need of the time. And almost everybody is trying to make some reflection or the other on this issue. And when we try to address this problem, though you have taken it up in the course of a presentation, we should make our position very clear that we are taking up anthropocentric approach or the cosmocentric approach about it. Because if man is at the center of it, then whatever man is doing, he is not doing out of ignorance. There's a vested interest. They know how to exploit nature, how to misuse it, how to condemn it. People generally forget. Look at the, in Indian tradition, there's a Rita. Rita means Panch Mahabhutas, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And Varun is the one who commands everything. Rita has given us a wonderful gift. And that gift is nature. Nature is a gift from Ritas. And there is only one being on earth who can destroy the nature, and that is human beings. So it is a job of the humans to protect the Ritas. And this has to come out very substantially. And there is, of course, a spiritual dimension very substantially involved in it. In fact, in Indian tradition, there is hardly any distinction between materialism and spiritualism also, because they undergo, look at Sri Aurobindo, the transformation which takes place, it begins from the material transformation and goes to the supramental kind of a thing. It's that kind of a process which has to be, taken into cognizance, so that, and about the religion also, if we take up religion as some kind of, the monotheistic religion, then it is just different from what spirituality is there. Because spirituality is search for, all these things. And, in the religion, you have the creation aspect of it. There are, of course, values involved in it, sacrifice and everything. And also aesthetic sense which is involved in it. They also have all these elements. Philosophical things are there, mythological, and the ritual aspects are also there. But spirituality is free from all these things. Spirituality has no do's and don'ts. It is in search for all the norms, search for the truth, and it has the simplicity kind of an approach, integrated and substantial. This is my brief observation. Now 2 minutes to each one of you to respond, and then I'll go back to my organizing committee. So, Professor Sunita ji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Professor Singh. Your observations are very insightful, full of wisdom. In fact, I would like to share that I developed integral leadership model based on Sri Aurobindo's Paravidya and Aparavidya. And one of my papers, Beyond Mass Love, became very popular, particularly in North America. And where material transformation, lower level of level 1 leads to supramental transformation. And that is the integral approach that I take in my writing. So, which got validated by your observation. And Savitri is one of the very difficult texts to understand. I'm still trying to understand the Life Divine and all those books by Sri Aurobindo. But yes, I do work with the books of Sri Aurobindo. And integral, since here the focus was on Vedanta conference, so I brought Vedantic perspectives in yoga and pranayama. And since I've already worked as a Homi Bhava fellow on Tantra, Indian Tantra system, so got tempted to bring the two perspectives together. But yes, that makes the integral yoga makes it complete. So thank you very much for your observation.
Thank you. So Dr. Sudhakar.
Thank you, sir. I am very delighted to say that your observation, I am really enlightened. I am really enlightened by your very deep observation regarding that. Of course, in my paper, I have taken, I am very much interested and taken the very important point to cited here, that is the knowledge aspect. Health aspect, I am not giving too much more importance towards health aspect, but I am trying to explain my paper. The knowledge is very important aspect. And that sort of knowledge means the knowledge of absolute, of course, in Vedantic perspective. So, we know that actually it is not only compared to bhakti aspect. So, region-based knowledge is there. That is why it is spearheaded by scientific knowledge, scientific aspect. That is Vedanta philosophy acknowledged the necessity for scientific temper and also to boost open-mindedness as against closed one. That is why I have given much more importance towards knowledge aspect. And knowledge, it's a very knowledge, and there is clear-cut and a fundamental difference I have cited here. They actually the scientific knowledge, which is tuned with the Advaitic concept of knowledge, and also which is a region-based knowledge is found also in Indian philosophy or Vedantic perspective. So some stated that very antagonistic attitude. Some other philosophers have criticized Indian philosophy, plethora, etc. That is not the very important aspect of Indian philosophy. That is the very important point is what the knowledge, and the knowledge must be grounded by scientific advancement, scientific temper. That is why, so region-based knowledge, which is a very important aspect, which is clearly mentioned by Chanakya in his Arthashastra, 4th century BC. That is why our Indian philosophical system is very sound, sir. We are proud of it, that actually our knowledge system, and the knowledge is not only to confine a very particular sense. So what the knowledge is, what context specific. So, and a knowledge means a context specific and situational specific. And also what knowledge means, the human socio-human framework, which is very accepted, and we are proud of our Indian philosophical system. Our philosophical system, our knowledge system is not only to confine to any sort of a dogmatic attitude, surmise, conjecture, so we are knowledge is totally different from any sort of dogmatic attitude, conjecture, and guess. So we are proud of our Indian philosophical system. That is why the traditional Vedantic view is very relevant, even if in the modern times. So we are proud of you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your
thank you, Sudhakar. Just one more observation, because you just mentioned about Chanakya Arthashastra. Yes. We all must have read about the Panch Tantra, Panch Tantra stories. So the composition of these stories. This was basically, in fact, there was one king, and he had some his children who were not very intelligent children. So he wanted to employ a teacher who can make those less intelligent children to understand Kautilya's Arthashastra. So what he did, he's the one who started composing Panch Tantra. If you go into the deeper aspect of it, you'll find that whatever Chanakya has to talk about in the Arthashastra has been practically applied in the composition of the Panch Tantra stories. So maybe in future I'll share the full information about it, with you. That is the that is the way that creativity emerges in the course of time. So now over to you, Dr. Kavita.
I would also like to be interested to know about the Panch Tantra, what you said, sir.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Kavita.
I have to say two things.
Not audible. Not properly audible. Just increase the volume.
Yes, sir. Now it is audible.
Yes, yeah.
I have to say two things regarding the anthropocentric and the other things. I have to say that in my paper, I took the ecocentric approach, because the spirituality inherent in ecocentric approach. And the second thing is that as we know that human being, a rational being, they only can realize the spiritual aspect. But day by day, they separated from this beautiful nature, rather connect from this nature. Because there is nothing in this planet or anywhere in this universe which is not connected to one's life. If one feels that this connection this is not an idea in our mind, that if this is a living reality for once, that one experience everything as a part of ourselves, taking care of everything. So taking care of this nature is a part of our life. It is need of our life. Then one can realize the one's true nature, what is we call the spirituality.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kavita. The session has been very fruitful, very meaningful. All the three presenters, they are very gifted in many ways, and their ideas, their commitments are very enlightening. Writing is very lucid. Presentation is very, substantive. So with this, we close it, and I'll go back to my organizing committee. And we are meeting tomorrow. We are not having any session, but the day after tomorrow on 28th at 6 p.m. Indian Standard Time, we'll again begin on 28th of October. And then we'll go till 31st of October. So now over to Professor Balramji or Girishji, Sukalyanji.
Okay, so, Dr. R.P. Singh, thank you so much. Yes. I just want to take one screenshot of all the participants. So please put on your video cameras so that we can then take this picture and we will then upload it to our conference proceedings and the YouTube channel. I'll give maybe 15 seconds more for some who still I don't see their faces on the screen. And as Dr. R.P. Singh said, Thursday, please join us at 6 p.m. IST. We will have this very, I can assure you, very enlightening and very entertaining at the same time Sanskrit session. As you know, one of the traditions of this conference is to have a session in Sanskrit by Sanskrit scholars. So that is, and Professor Girish Jha will be the chair of that session. So please join us 6 p.m. IST Thursday. As Dr. R.P. Singh said, tomorrow is our so-called gap day. No sessions tomorrow. All right. So I will now take a picture. Please smile. There you go. Thank you. So namaste and see you Thursday.
Thank you. Professor Pandey will be chairing the session. I'll be coordinating.
Okay.
Thank you.
So R.P. Singh ji and Girish ji, if we could stay back for a few minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Namaskar, Madhuji.
Sorry, I had to physically remove. I think many they put on their. They join in, but they may be away.
Yeah.
So I think it went okay today. The panel. For Thursday, Girish ji, are you all set?
Yeah, the Sanskrit thing, yes. I'll start the panel and then they will be doing it. And at the end, if there's time, I can just give a bit of summary.
Got it. And were you able to get the title from Sachidananda Mishra?
No, he hasn't sent me yet, but maybe by tomorrow he will send me.
Okay. Okay. So So R.P. Singh ji, anything we need to do before Thursday?
No, nothing. I think everything is well under control.
Going great. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Yeah. I'm so delighted to see things happening. Yeah.
So going on.
Very good.